Make sure you have no liability. Well, explain why Scientology is not a liability. Right. Explain that.
Hi guys, it's Michael, and we are live, and I'm sitting here trying to figure out all these different buttons, and I notice I've got an S, another C in Scientology, and I'll correct that later. But I just wanted to start the chat just by saying hello to everybody that's out there. And yes, I totally let's see here, let's go there. Okay, good evening. Yeah, so hey, let's bring up my little friend here at the stage. There she is, Miss PearlSnappy.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, perfect. How are you? Are you just exhausted?
I mean, I still think I'm kind of riding the high a little bit, but my body is like, ma'am, you need to sit down today. And so I did.
Good. You know, I've been watching you from afar, and I've been just so loving what you're doing out there. And I wanted to get to know you, and I wanted my audience to get to know you and who you are and how you came about it and what got you on this whole mission where you are today in Austin at Scientology. So first, I would love just to introduce to everybody once again, PearlSnappy. She's in Austin. She's been kicking ass in Scientology, and she was at the opening this weekend, and she just let it rip all day long, all night long, all day long, again and again and again. So I just would like you to introduce yourself and just say a little bit about your background and what your story is. And where do you come from? Were you in Scientology? Were you in another cult, or you just had a hard life like a lot of us have, and just you're standing up like I am for the kids?
I think a little bit of all of it. So I was not in Scientology.
Beautiful.
Definitely had, just like a rough growing up, Gen X, it's kind of part of the course. My family was very much into conservative libertarian things, and my cult was like Ayn Rand and conservative thinking. That's what I was raised in. By 8th grade, I could probably quote most of Atlas Shrugged like by heart.
Okay.
I went to Hillsdale College, which is very, 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 very conservative, and it started kind of hitting me towards the end there where I was like, I don't really believe this. But now how do I separate myself from everyone that I know in my family without, ruining relationships? Because politics are pretty terrible too. And then when I got into grad school for education, you kind of have to face the facts there, right? It's kind of in your face. You see, and especially when it comes to the data, because that's what I do, work with educational data. I saw the numbers. I was like, okay, these things don't line up here at all. The things that I thought I believed, the things that I was taught to believe, it just did not mesh. And so I started having to come to terms with a lot of the thoughts that I had about different socioeconomic statuses of people, different ethnicities of people, just everything. My own white privilege was very uncomfortable. It got real uncomfortable as I got older and realized more things that I thought that were just like, oh, I can't believe I thought that. it has caused problems with my family. It still does. But, growing up, it was rough, for a lot of reasons. I was, forced to be an adult in situations when I shouldn't have been. I was brought out and shown off when it was convenient. I was put away when I was inconvenient. And I think a lot of those things line up with a lot of the experiences that a lot of people, especially the kids that grew up in Scientology, experienced. And I think a lot of people, especially of my generation, Gen X, we watched all of the documentaries. We watched Leah Remini and that other person on A&E, and we were like, "Wow, this is mind-blowing." And then all of the survivors got on YouTube.
Mhm.
And then you saw the unsanitized, as Serge likes to call it, view.
Yep.
And I just don't know how you can ignore that. I just don't know how you can ignore that.
Mhm.
And so when Aaron announced that Austin was having its ideal org opening, I was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna be there. I'm a troll professional," and I didn't realize truly until I got out there how therapeutic it was gonna be, but also how triggered I was gonna get and how I needed to pace myself and recognize my own triggers when I got out there and just went from 0 to blind rage in 3 seconds because it happens. It's easy to happen out there. So it's been a learning experience. It's been very therapeutic for me, and getting the feedback from the folks that I learned all this information from: Serge, Nora, Liz Squared, Aaron, Natalie, Mike Brown, everybody. Sorry if I'm leaving people out, but
No, yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, everybody, yeah.
Um, it just empowered me to keep going. It made me certain that I was doing the right thing, and not just them, but a lot of women, but, men too, but a lot of women in the chat who were in a narcissistic relationship, also same. And why do we choose that? Well, because that's what we grew up with, right? So that's what we
Mhm. Yep,
chose.
exactly.
Breaking that apart through therapy and then also through standing up to bullies. It's amazing, and it's hard, and it's the best thing I've ever done.
That's just beautiful. I mean, there's so many crossovers with what you're sharing with me because, like, I grew up here in Los Angeles, California. My mom was in the movie business. My dad was an LAPD officer. And just like, Serge is my husband. And I went out on the streets with him because I wanted to make sure he was going to be okay. And he just kept saying, Michael, you need to start a channel. You need to start a channel. And so I did. But I didn't know either that when I got out there, I was going to be so triggered by the LAPD. Every
Right.
time I saw them or continue to see them, it reminds me of that white picket fence I lived behind in a golf course neighborhood, and my dad beating the shit out of my mom and I on the inside. But when we walked out, we were this happy little family with a boat, motorcycles, the cars, whatever.
Right.
Cars were always changing in our driveway. New car here, this car, that kind of car, hot rods, whatever it was. Um, and it's not to say that I didn't have a great childhood because my mom was blessed. I was blessed because my mom knew that I loved art and just got me into art really early and just let me be an artist. And that's where I just kind of like found my serenity at the time and growing up. And they were just kids. Like I believe your parents probably were, it sounds like too. Is like I had to be a parent with them. I
Mhm.
mean, when they had my sister, they were like 17, 18. And when they had me, 18, 19. And they were just kids. So they were kids raising kids. And so your story resonates with me so much. Through all this that we're talking about, the pain,
Mhm.
I was in a relationship too where I was with someone that with the ego that was so large that being a designer, every time I would design something, they would look at me and say, "Oh, you're just playing. You're just having fun. You're just making fun."
Yes. 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 Absolutely. Same. Same.
What are
With
you doing? What do you think you're doing? Right,
yeah,
right?
what are you doing? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing this prescribed set of things that we wish you would do?
Yeah.
And it's still happening. I'm 44, it's still happening. They're still doing it to me.
Well, I'm like a lot older and it's still, my dad still tries it, but I just, I set a boundary. I've finally learned how to set boundaries and just keep people where they need to be in my life to make me aligned. I learned this a long time ago. And I'm not going to, it's like, I learned this a long time ago. If you ask a lot of people in life, I'm holding 2 ice cream cones. What flavors are they? The first answer they give you is vanilla and chocolate, because the whole world lives by vanilla and chocolate,
So true.
you
So
know,
true.
and like when I meet people, and I didn't ask you that question because I didn't want to put you on the spot here on, the YouTube, but it's like, when I meet people, I always ask them that question. It really kind of lets me have a little insight, but it's still 90% of the people will say vanilla and chocolate because the government, it starts way back then. It starts with the interpretation of our grandparents. Our grandparents gave it to our parents and our parents try to give it to us, but we grew up in a generation where we kind of, I think like you, it's like, well, I'm in a generation ahead of you, it sounds like, but it's like, I learned that, wait a second, art, love, alignment. I was there in my own, when I wasn't being slammed against the wall, or we weren't on a road trip and doing fun stuff too. And like, it wasn't that we didn't do fun stuff, right?
Sure. Of course.
But yeah, so through all this, and I told you we'd kind of keep this short tonight, but we'll just let it go wherever it goes. Okay. And when
Of
you
course.
said, I've had enough, you just say it. But through all this, where did your humor, out there just grabs me. I mean, last night, was it today or today you said to some old man, go fuck your, go fuck yourself with, what did you say?
Yeah, go F yourself sideways with a cactus.
Exactly. I mean,
And I
you
don't even
had me,
remember. I don't even remember. Like some of the stuff that comes out of my mouth, like I don't even know. I know for sure I said it in Pflugerville at one of the graduations that I crashed. For sure I said it
okay.
there.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure I said it a second time to somebody else.
Well, it was so hilarious because, these trolls, these people that they send out, I've seen it over and over and over. This is the type of person they send out.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
your humor just gets me all the time. Where'd you get your humor?
Honestly, from my mom's family. Um, so it my mom had a rough childhood. And I think
Mhm.
trauma could turn you into having a real sharp wit, and a lot of it is defensive. It's a defense mechanism.
Yep. Yeah, I see
A
that.
lot of it is to change a mood. If there's like a mood in the family, the mood, right?
Yep.
But my Aunt Sue was so quick, and because I was the only grandchild, so my mom had me, and there wasn't another grandchild in the family until 10 years later. So I was spoken to like an adult. I was in the adult conversations, and so I would watch the reactions that people would get, and so I just picked it up. I think a lot of it I just got from watching my dysfunctional family, and then also just, like, being teased as a kid and then being, like, never feeling like I was doing the right thing for my parents. It's like, well, at least I can make them laugh. At least I can make people laugh. That was a lot of it for me growing up, and then it got more serious, I think, as I got older, where I had to realize, like, "Okay, look, you have a PhD now, and when you get mad at your boss, you can't just, like, make jokes. It's not appropriate." So, um, while I have done therapy, that humor is still there, and I'm glad because I don't ever want to lose that sharp tongue. And in the words of Tom York, words are a blunt instrument, words are a sawed-off shotgun. That's me. And it's effective for me, and it's very effective for this scenario. And it's
This movement.
helpful
Yep.
for me to be able to channel that in to keep people that are watching or that are sad. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I get emails from people that are like, "I'm in a terrible situation. I haven't laughed in like 3 months, and my sides hurt from watching you." Amazing. That makes
Yeah.
me feel so good. And
I
for the
love that.
first time in my life, my humor most of the time is like exactly what's needed for this situation. Um, my vitriol for bullies and terrible humans. It kind of just all works. And it feels really good to get all of my anger out at people that aren't Scientologists, that I can't say a lot of those things to, but I can say it to a bunch of people that I know have hurt people because I've
Yes.
listened to their stories.
Yes.
So it's like it's kind of everybody except for Scientology wins, which is my favorite. Because I get to say the things that people wish they could say. I get to say the things I wished I could say, and I get to make Scientology very uncomfortable.
And you did yesterday or the other day, you know, at the opening. It was
Oh,
2 days
at the
ago
party? Oh, I ruined
at the
his
party.
party. That was great.
I loved it. I mean, when you were up, I felt like you were a bird up on the telephone pole from where the voice was coming from, screaming right down at him, you know, and you could see him jerking almost, you know, you could see
Oh,
the
yeah.
uncomfortableness, you know, you made him uncomfortable. So I
Yes.
salute you for doing that. I love you for doing that. That is like,
Thank you.
to see that. And then, you know,
It's
then,
great.
you know, yeah. Don't you feel fantastic?
So many people have been afraid of him. So many people's lives have been ruined by him. So many people never thought they would see that man ill at ease. Well, there you go, because it happened, and it was
It happened.
awesome.
It was
And it
beautiful.
was
It was
because
more,
of all the people that supported me, showed up there with me, have supported me along the way, all of the survivors who told their stories to get me to be able to be effective out there and to be able to say the right words, the right Scientology words to get
yeah.
to them, to know their tricks. I mean, watching what happened in LA, while it's different in a lot of ways, it's not, right? So it is and it isn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was able to learn a lot of things, but I was just like, there's no way that I am going to miss out. We are going to find a way to ruin the audio for this man's stupid party and all of the stupid, creepy people that paid a lot of money to sit there and watch this stupid speech.
It's just frightening. When I was, you know, I've told my channel this a lot of times, but when I was, grew up here, my mom was in the movie business. So she worked on Love Boat for 11 years
Hmm.
and she was a stand-in for the little girl on the show. And
Hmm.
so they always needed kids in the background by the Lido deck where the pool was. And my mom was there. So she was my guardian. So I was always on the show. I was always on the show. And so they were always advertising in all the acting magazines, free acting classes, come to Scientology, blah, 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 blah,
Of
blah,
course.
blah, 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 blah. And I went in and I took the test, you know, the personality test. And I walked in and I was like, and they started like, it got to the point where they're like, oh, maybe, and they showed me the cans and all that. And I kind of like, I was ready to grab them. And I'm like, you know what, Michael, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, get out, run.
I felt it so deeply in my soul. And you know, the funny thing about it is like 15 years later, I found myself shooting a Hallmark special in their Palladium ballroom there at the Celebrity Center. And they were standing around just staring at us, you know, and I just felt that
Creepy.
nasty, evil energy. And it's just like, and from meeting all the kids in this weekend, that 75-foot scroll that Liz did, I don't know if you have had a chance to see
Did.
that.
Oh, yes.
That's all, you know, it was so beautiful. It was like at first she was just going to roll it out and have them stand behind it, you know, all the Scientology kids that were there, kind of near their name or wherever. And then the next thing you know, they actually circled the whole Celebrity Center. They went all
Amazing.
the way around. And when they came back, it was so beautiful. It was so moving. And all these kids like you know, that are on the outside that's out there protesting all the time in LA here that you've been watching, you know, they call them the Squirrel Squad or whatever they want to call them, but they're all independent, brilliant kids out here. And
Absolutely.
they were there and it was like one of the most magical moments. So, you know, you know, and triggering for me, triggering, you know, I went to you know, place where we all got together and Serge actually got on the cans and did an auditing test with one of the kids. And to see Serge do that and then realize he was 12 years old, 12, doing that with adults, asking those kind of questions with an earbud in his ear. And if he wasn't asking the right questions, there was a double, you know, mirror there, and they're saying, ask him this, say this.
Right.
Now and I sat there and I think about it, and I'm like going, I at least when in my life has been real magical. I've had just a magical life. I've, been on television, and it's not television. It's just the fun of the people that I've met. I got a chance to meet Andy Warhol. I got to meet Christine Crawford. I've got to meet some really cool people, and not meet. And just like Christine Crawford, I lived in her guest house for a while, and she
That's
was
awesome.
yeah, it's just a remarkable experience in life. I got to meet Sandy Meisner, who was like the first acting coach in New York City. So I've had these encounters with these incredible people throughout my life. And I'm looking today at these incredible people, and you're one of them. Do you realize that?
I
Do you
think
realize
so.
that? Good.
I think so. I think so. I feel it for the first time in my life, and I feel like my voice and everything about me, everybody accepts it here, mostly everybody, and the people that don't, whatever. And I'm finally at that point in my life too, which is also awesome. Um, but finding a place where you can feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing, this is how I'm supposed to be using this reckless mouth, is to bring awareness and to shame the people that need to be shamed, and to bring awareness. If I wasn't standing out there and singing on that corner and holding a sign, and if all the women that came with me weren't out there holding their signs, those kids they just thought that Scientology had closed down and it was never going to be back again. Well, they would have been real surprised. And they have been surprised and they're horrified. They're just like, are people still doing this? And I'm like, yeah, sadly, yes. Um, and so I'm not gonna stop until they are afraid to use that coffee shop, till they are afraid to come out there, and I mean the Scientologists, obviously, not the kids.
Yeah, of course.
I want them to be afraid to walk out that door and see me standing there, or anybody else who starts coming. I want them to be like, "We know that we are not going to have an easy time out here, because she's either gonna be playing some OT level thing, or she's going to be calling us child traffickers, or she's going to be giving a clear cog, or she's going to be telling us about things." And it's just like, when I look at some of the younger people, and I know people like that, there are people that are helping me get information about what's happening on the inside there. So I find out that some of these people that are like real nasty to me, and like the things that you don't hear them say to me offline, I know you know. But I think for people that have not been around Scientologists, especially when they're triggered, let me tell you, you think the things that come out of my mouth are bad, you should hear what they say to me. So to find out that when I'm looking at Tanya and I'm like, "You're part of a child trafficking cult," like she was trafficked. She was
Yeah.
trafficked.
Yeah.
She was trafficked in, and her little body router boyfriend who was trying to get her away from me, and the woman that was standing behind her, that was her mother who trafficked her into
Trafficked
this
her. Yep.
cult.
Yep. The parents.
It's disgusting, and you have to keep it together, and it's like, because really what you wanna do is just, like, lunge at people and just, like, shake them and be like, "What is wrong with you?" And let her go. Like, I wanna grab her mom and be like, "Run, run," but I know she won't, and that's also frustrating, and you don't get an instant reaction. You have to realize, like, "Look, I'm not here to get these adults out. I'm here to prevent people from going in. And I'm here to raise awareness about the tax exemption and getting those kids out."
Yeah.
And you have to
Yeah.
be, I had to learn to be realistic, right? For a lot of reasons. One, because when people come up and ask you, "Why are you doing this?" You need an answer that they're
Yes.
not gonna walk away from. Um, and you also need to realize that, and I agree with Serge, if you are an adult and you're consenting and this is the stuff you're into, I'm not here to kink shame you, but that is what this is. Let's be very honest about it.
Very clear. Right.
And those kids can't consent. And so every time that door opens, I'm gonna yell, "Kids can't consent," especially when I see you bringing kids in there.
Yep. Yep. We were at the event here. They were just having some yearly event in the valley, and we were filming there, and I was over at the parking lot as they were leaving, and there was like a grandmother, but I don't even know now that I've thought about it, I don't even know if it was a grandmother or if it was a handler. It was likely to be a handler, okay, with 3 young boys. And they were like 2, 3, 4, And she's like, get in the car, hide, duck, duck, duck.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. And I'm like going, these poor kids. And so I stopped screaming at them, because one of my chat people says, don't scare the children, and that's not what we're there for either, so I stopped screaming at them. But it was just so shocking to me to see this older lady with these 3 young boys, and her telling them already, duck, 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 don't look, and it was just like, hide behind the car over there. And it was just horrifying to see. And it's like, one of the things I've seen here is with these kids out there, streets out there, and we've joined them, and it's like, they started frosting all their windows in all their buildings.
Right.
They've got their blinds down. They've
Here
got
too now.
plastic. They've got plastic all around the fence of the Celebrity Center now to hide the Celebrity Center from the street. And then the Scientologists, if they're out on the street and they're walking by outside of either the Big Blue or the Celebrity Center, they're told not to even say a word to us.
Correct.
It used to be go on.
Well, on the other hand, so that happens. And so like when there was like a lot of the people there, they were like bringing the kids out the side door when I was out front. But at the graduation that was at like that weird Lions Club place, they sent the children out to handle us. I would never in any other situation swear at children, okay? But I know that those parents sent them out there.
Yeah.
So I stayed far away. I was like a good 50 yards at least away from
Yeah.
them. But
Yeah.
like they're screaming terrible things at me. And I'm just like, F you, because your parents sent you out here to mess with me. And frankly, I'm respecting your religion right now because you believe that these children are adults in small bodies. So if the cops came out, I was prepared to be like, this is their religious beliefs. Okay.
They're
It's like in
adults.
Texas, it's problematic to swear at children. Okay. You actually like really shouldn't do that. You can get
Right.
misdemeanor for
Right.
that. And I get it. However, that's what they do. They send out people that survived the Titanic and toddlers to deal with me. Not like a 40-year-old, not a 40-year-old man, not a 50-year-old man. They send out people that literally look like they are so crusty that they survived the Titanic, and children.
Yep.
That should tell you everything you need to know about this cult, frankly.
Well, I got struck down by them for their music at the event. So I'm like fighting that right now. But I was filming the people walking out. And like you said, the Titanic, I was like going, but then I thought to myself, well, what if these people have no money and can't get out, and it's elder abuse? I mean, there's even that these days, and you just think about it, but they were smiling and having a good time. But the sad thing, going back to the kids again, was one of our crew snuck their camera up over the fence during the event and looked down, and there was a bouncy house.
Seems about right. They, in the little release for this grand opening thing, they were just like, the last line. First of all, they asked for kids to help work and build the sets. Most of the kids that were building those sets, and I mean kids, were RPF kids because they're color coded. They color code their little cult. So, and by now I could tell the difference between staff, Sea Org, landlord office, public. So I know who you are, and I know how messed up you are. So don't look at me sideways and be like, oh, I don't know. No, ma'am, I see your little outfit. I see your stupid little pin, which means I know exactly where you fall in this cast of characters. And
Exactly.
you have donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to support this BS. And I'm definitely going to call you and your stupid outfit out, because is this the best that you can do? Did they take all of your money? Because that outfit is tragic. And you're supposed to be dressed as uptone. What do they say? Uptone Texas style. And I was like, I'm like, what? And so when I saw these people walking by, nothing about their outfits was uptone. Also, tell me you're not from Texas without telling me, because I could tell by the way you're wearing your stupid cowboy hat. If I see that thing just perched on the top of your head, you've never worn a cowboy hat in your life. You don't even know what it's for. Because a one gust of wind's going to blow it off, and it's not low enough to protect the back of your neck from getting sunburned. You're doing it wrong, but of course you are, because you're a Scientologist. They do everything wrong. So it's for me, I think part of the reason that I have to default back to humor is that, like, if I get too serious about it, I will literally lose my mind and start just screaming, and then that's not helping anybody. But also, they make it so easy because it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Everything that they do is ridiculous. With the front door that wasn't staying shut,
Oh
that
my
was
God.
on
I laugh at,
hydraulic things. Like, it's not closing because you have 2 other doors open that you're, like, loading all of your crap out of.
or
So,
they don't have enough
whatever
returns. That's what I was thinking too. You know, they did, like you said, who's building it? The kids are building
it's
it.
the HVAC, it's
Yep.
HVAC and the doors being open, right? So they're trying to fix that door with the other doors open, and I'm like, "Well, now you're gonna break it, and now somebody else is gonna be in trouble here because I already ruined your stupid
Yep.
party,
Yep.
and you
Exactly.
can't sell your stupid books out front anymore. You've gotta go hide and pretend that you're, trying to get people into yoga," which is my new favorite thing because 'cause they're
hmm
against yoga.
hmm
But they're trying to pretend that they're selling yoga to some of the kids because now the students are snitching to me, which is 10 out of 10. So they'll be like, I'll get an email being like, they're over here. And half the time, by the time they see me show up, they are packing up. I can't even get it on film.
Oh,
And
it's
sometimes I don't
ridiculous.
even need to.
Yeah. But that's all we want. Is just like baby steps, baby steps, baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. That's all we're doing. And you know, and it just, for me this weekend watching you and then being involved here with all the kids, because like when I first met Serge, I was like a lot of the public out there, and I didn't know a lot about Scientology. I didn't know what was really going on inside Scientology because I had given it that whole concept up years and years ago, and I was just like, boom, and it was out of my life basically. And then I met Serge, and then all of a sudden I heard what he went through, you know, and then I met, you know, Laura, and I heard what she went through and how old she was. She was like, I think she said she was like 3 years old when she signed the billion-year contract with Akrela.
I just can't give people that were the adults in that situation a pass anymore.
Yeah. It's really, really, really horrible. And it's like, you know, and now getting to meet Jenna and talking to her, I'm reading her book right now and going to be visiting with her on here about it. And it's just like, when you read it and you listen to it, and I'm a designer, I'm a visual designer. I've designed homes, I've designed parties, events, celebrations of life, whatever it is, you know, clothes, whatever. I'm just talented. I was born with a gift that wasn't my, you know, I woke up one day, poof, there it was, you know. And oh, God, I just get so wrapped up sometimes. I just get so upset because like this, going back to, I have to go back to this weekend because when I saw those kids, and we'll get back to the other, but it's like when I saw those kids this weekend together, after hearing all their stories and, you know, reading their books, you know, I visualize everything, I build everything, and I put myself in that position. You know, I'm like,
Same.
I play that part, you know. It's just automatic for my brain to do that because I'm like, how can this work this way, you know, what, or they think, you know, I'm like, and I fry
Yeah.
out on it.
Yeah. It can drive you crazy, and so can those people that are still in.
Yeah,
The robotic reactions to things, the training that they have to be robot people, but that's also not an excuse, and so I have a level of cognitive dissonance between being like, "How'd you get in your car and drive through the world to this building, and, like, nothing struck you is strange? Nothing about what you're doing seems the fact that, like, you all have to pack up and move immediately from Austin now and all go to Chicago to, like, continue this farce that there's people like, that many people in this cult.
yeah,
At some point, you need to have some personal responsibility to be like, "Wow, I'm perpetuating this disaster." And I know the stories of the people in Austin, okay? So I know that those people have money. I know that they do. I know that
yeah.
they're just fine. I know they've given millions, and I know they have millions more. There's a lot of wealthy people in this town, and
It, there's, yeah,
there's and they give their money to this place. There are people that have left Austin org are still paying interest off on mortgages and loans they took out to donate to the stupid building that was done in 2019 that they haven't
Yeah.
moved into. And then that kid comes by my live. Did you hear about the 4-year exemption thing?
No, what's that?
Because this blew my mind, and I need to do more research on it, but I haven't had time. So, if you are a nonprofit and you have a building that you own and it's unoccupied for more than 4 years, that building loses its exemption, and you have to start paying property taxes. Well, isn't that interesting? That's exactly
Mm,
how long the Austin org was empty. So
for
weird, right?
yeah.
So I'm like, well, where else? How could we use that? How do we use that against them? How do we do that? And then are they just going to be playing this game where they like shuffle people
Mm.
around to be like on like
Oh, it's
every 4
open. It's
years?
open. Yep.
Yeah. And so it's like, oh, so more human and child trafficking. Awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
So let's track it.
Yep.
Because now the internet is here and you can't hide. Also, Scientology, for the love of God, you did everything that you could to build the dumbest fence around your cult in Austin, and you didn't look up. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for not looking up. Thank you for never being like, well, gee, there's some places up there that loud lady that comes and sings weird songs at us could stand. Thank you for not
Yep.
thinking about that.
So
Appreciate
you
you.
were up.
Appreciate
So
you.
you were up somewhere then, right?
We were
When
in the parking garage. So first,
oh, and that
s-
was
a
right
s-
across. Okay,
so
because that's what
first a
it sounded
student.
like.
Oh yeah. So first a student found us on. I was on campus because I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to like stand across from campus and like it's elevated so we can like kind of see. I would have been able to see like maybe the screen that Davey was on, but I don't know that I'd have been able to see him without like climbing on stuff. And I'm not trying to get kicked off of UT's campus because I used to be faculty there and I still like to take my dog there and I might want to work there again. So, you know what I mean?
Right.
So this student comes up to us and he's like watching me on his phone and he's just like, I just found you from Aaron's channel. I live in that building over here. Do you want to get on the roof? And I was like, yep, yep. So we like followed him and we got on his roof. And then we were looking around and a couple other people were like, hey, I was thinking about that parking garage. And I was just like, cool. So more people had come to meet us. And I didn't want to get that kid in trouble because I knew I needed to yell. My whole
Right.
goal was to ruin the audio. So I was like, I'm
Right.
not gonna, yeah, I can't yell from here. Like this kid's gonna get in trouble. I'm not trying to ruin anything for him. So we left there and found the parking garage, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot wait to ruin this good time. And watching the guy who was in charge of shutting me up just continue to fail and then throw a full on Scientology hissy fit, a million out of 10. A million out of 10.
Yeah.
I will
love that.
watch that short over and over on at Freelance Adventures page. Whenever I'm sad, I will go to watch him like pointing at the decibel meter and the cops being like, it's not amplified, that's just her.
That's
There's
just her.
nothing we can
Yeah.
do. It's 101 decibels. Well, she's not using the speaker.
It's the garage resonating it. It's not her,
Right.
right? But it's
Also,
your
don't
voice. It's
mess
your
with the
voice.
theater measure. Don't mess with the theater major.
Theater. Tell me about
Don't.
theater.
Well, I was in theater. I wasn't really a major, but I was a theater person all through high school and in some college. I have a professional theater resume. I could sing, I could dance, I could act. That's what I did as a kid growing up. That was like my outlet. And because I was never really a good artist, but I'm an amazing photographer. So like I have the eye for it and I get it, but theater, that was it for me. And dance. That like I love it. I still do. I still tap dance. I still take classes and stuff. It's awesome. So and in college, I went to like a very, very, very gross conservative college and I just like wasn't really their cup of tea. Whatever. They're not mine either. Bye.
It's everybody. I
But
always say everybody plays in different playgrounds, and we get to play in our playground that fits for us.
absolutely. And I just kept pushing it and now it's like, oh, okay, well now I know why I learned how to project my voice like that. Now I
Yeah.
know why I learned set design and how to build stuff. and come up with creative solutions to problems, which is helpful as a statistician too, because you don't meet a lot of like really creative, gregarious statisticians. And that's really necessary to figure out actual problems. You have to have creativity. So I've always been like, in undergrad, my majors were math and economics with minors in German and philosophy, which makes total sense for a nice Jewish girl from the suburbs. What?
Right, exactly, right?
And then, I go to grad school and I get my master's in economics and my PhD in educational measurement. And the reason I'm good at it is because I have all those other things and I'm creative and I think outside the box. So when it comes to coming up with ways to troll this cult, tell me I can't do something and then watch me figure out how I'm going to do it. I had a professor in undergrad who told me I was too stupid to be a math major. And I say professor because that man did not have a PhD. Well, who do you think got the first copy of my dissertation? In statistics. When I got my PhD in statistics, sir. Professor Watson. Professor Watson, may you rest not in peace with L. Ron somewhere on Target 2, because I got my PhD after you told me I was too stupid to do it. So guess how that works out for people? We don't think you should do this. Okay, well, now I'm going to do it extra.
Yeah. Yep. And here it is. I always wanted to do theater myself. And my agent always said, never say never. Never say no and never say never, or just do it. Right. And so I've got a lot of TV parts by just saying, sure, I could do that. And I do it, but that's how I met Christina Crawford. It was on a play. I got called in for a play here in Los Angeles. And I was like, oh, I get to be auditioning for a play. And I was like, so excited. And they said, oh, they want you to talk to the sound and lighting guy. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, he could only make it halfway through the series of the play. And we need someone to pick it up halfway through. And we want you to do it. And I said, sure. But one of the producers was Christina Crawford. And so that's how I got to meet her, because we just had fun together. But I really, so yeah. And when's your birthday? I'm not a big, Scorpio.
I'm April. I'm Aries.
You're Aries. Oh, nice. I love Aries. That's funny. I get along with Aries really well. I'm a Gemini.
That makes sense. I get along with Geminis too. No, I'm full Aries. Everything, top to bottom, no question. And I think that plays into a lot of it too. I'm very loyal, but I'm very funny and I'm fiery, and so when I see something wrong, I'm going to burn it down.
Yeah. And I'll find a way to do it.
And now it's the right thing to do. I'm not burning down the wrong stuff just because I'm so mad at life that I just like burn down the wrong stuff. Now I can focus it towards standing up for something that I know is wrong and getting to burn it down. And if I get to entertain some people along the way, that's even better. And I think what's important to understand for the folks that are watching all of us is that, first of all, we all have like a different approach, right? And we all fill a different niche, and none of us are like better or worse at this. And you don't have to like all of us. That's great. But there's also no competition. Just find who speaks to you, because Serge taught us that courage is contagious. And just go out, whatever it is that you want to go stand up against, just start doing it. Just start doing it. Just like with theater, just start doing it if that's what you want to do. I hadn't tap danced in years, and I started auditioning for Dragoween, which is like the big drag show for Halloween in Austin, and there's always like a big tap number in it. And that's my favorite kind of dance to do. I love tap dancing. And so I just started trying out for those things. And, I don't care if I'm in the back row. I just want to be out there having fun and being on stage and thinking about something different. And that's kind of what this is here as well. Like I don't want it to always just be like a stand-up show, and I don't want people to be like, oh, it's all about her. But also, like, why don't you come out here and do this and see, how hard this is. And I'm not perfect. No one's gonna be perfect at it, and you lose your mind sometimes. And sometimes you say stuff that you shouldn't. The important thing is to be like, hey, I messed up. I apologize. You acknowledge what you did, apologize, and stop doing it, right? but just do something. And I think that was the biggest thing for me. Just get out there and just start doing something. And it feels amazing. Feels good for me. Feels good to get the feedback from people, especially the folks that are under the radar that are like, oh my God, I've always
Yes.
hated that woman. I've hated that woman for my life. And I'm so glad that you just screamed that in her face. You're welcome. I'll do it again. What's her name? I'll call her by her actual name. What do you want?
Yeah.
What do you need? That's my favorite, is when people message me that are just like, oh, I remember that person. She made my life hell. Like, you give it to her. And I'm like, oh, your husband slept with your underage sister?
Mm.
You
And
didn't think we knew?
now he married her.
Tragic. Yeah. Now you waited till the statutory R word was
Yep.
up, and then you married her. Adorable.
Yep.
And so now your kids are cousins and step or half siblings. Like,
Mother,
good job.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Good job. Good job. You nailed it. So ethical.
It's,
And
and
then
you
I
hear
think
that.
one of them had to like audit the other one about it.
Ugh.
Like, what is wrong here? Besides everything. The
Well,
more I
I'm
find
going to take
out,
it back really quick. Can you imagine if it was
yeah.
one of the kids that was 12 years old that had audited them?
Right. It was the 14-year-old. It was the girl who was having sex with the brother or her sister's husband. They were
It's
like
just,
paired up.
it's just so frightening to me when I see it and I hear it. And it's just like, I've learned so much from Serge. You know that. You could see that,
Yeah.
you know?
We all have.
And yeah, we all, that's what I'm saying. Is we all have learned and we continue to learn from him as well. I remember, we were in Clearwater meeting Aaron for the first time. And then Aaron was taking us over to meet Mike. And he was more concerned about his bobblehead than even putting his hand out to say hi to me. He barely talked to Serge, and the whole reason why we went over there was for them to meet each other for the first time. And then that's when I just looked at him. I'm like, this guy's not right. And I look at that side of it all too. And it's like, I
Right.
remember when Serge was filming the last day of the show, I was listening to Mike, and Leo was doing everything to juggle to get him to sound like he was on the aftermath side almost, from my
Right.
point of view. And this is my point of view,
Mhm.
and so the other stuff I've seen from some of these people that are out that just shock me. And that's a whole nother story, but it's like, I want to get back to you real quick. So I see in you and your humor and all that you're doing, you're finding so much probably therapy within, because like when I'm out there, it's like, I'm pretty even, I'm pretty toned, I keep my level, and I'm the compassion side, of, keeping Serge balanced and just being out there with the kids, that's who I am. And I want to be that support for those people, for the kids. And I call them kids because they were young when they were in there, I just adore them. They're like my family, they're my chosen family now. And I just sit there and I just like, you learn. See, I just got choked up again. God, I get choked up when I think about
I
them.
do too.
You
It's hard to
know
talk
what?
about sometimes. When you really
Yeah.
pause and think about it, it's very difficult. I understand.
They come and they spend the night with us. They spend the weekend with us, and I hear their story, and then someone else comes and I hear their story, and I hear their story, and I'm just like going, it's like Jeffrey Epstein on crack.
Yeah. It's
I had this.
unbelievable.
I had this one girl share a story with me where there was a girl in there that got pregnant, and she wanted to keep the baby, and they said, no, you can't. She was a minor, and they made her abort the baby. And you're just like going, you just sit there. So for you, this has been therapy for you as
100%.
well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the forced abortion is, when I was 25, I was really sick and no one knew it was wrong. And I ended up having to have a hysterectomy and bilateral oophorectomy at 25.
Wow.
So when I see that there's this piece of shit cult out here that is forcing women to do this,
Over.
and there's people out here who like don't even have that option. And when I know that there are people that have abortions and then they can't have kids anymore, like,
Mhm.
who in the F are you? Pieces of shit.
Mhm.
And how in this, like, abortion preventing state of Texas is this being allowed? Help me
Done.
understand. I don't understand.
Where is this happening? Where are they going?
Right, because that's illegal now.
I
You could
know.
be in trouble. So where yeah, exactly. Where is this
Yeah,
happening?
what doctor office is owned by Scientology, run by Scientology that's allowing this with
Right,
the back door, you know? And
right.
that's the kind of shenanigans. How do you feel? Well, one last question about the therapy for you, okay? Because
Sure, sure.
I see that because for me, I didn't realize this was going to be therapy for me. I thought I was just going to be out there protecting Serge and being with Serge and just being out there. But then all of a sudden, I found myself facing my dad every 5 minutes, and the corruption. You know, I remember back when the Rodney King case was here,
Right.
and this is way back.
I remember.
And my dad came home bragging, calling his friends, snapping open a beer, calling the kid that was just recruited for LAPD because of him down the street and just celebrate. And I sat there and I'm like going, what the fuck? I said, at least, and that's what's so beautiful about today is we've got cameras.
Right.
We've got our First Amendment and we have cameras and we can go anywhere we want to go and actually do this. And so that has given me, I mean, it's therapy. So it's been therapy for you. Have you seen a shift in your life with this?
I think yes. First of all, I don't think I've ever slept as well as I have in a long time. But a lot of this stuff, it's almost kind of like when you're doing a scrimmage, right? Like you practice, you're on a soccer team, you're scrimmaging, and then you get to the game, right? So I feel like therapy, sitting in the office for years with my amazing therapist, has been like a scrimmage. And I've been like learning stuff where I've been like, okay, kind of overreacted here, probably caused this issue, or found myself attracted to this person and caused this issue. And so, like, you're kind of practicing those things, but you still aren't always ready for what's going to trigger you or what's going to make you fall back into the patterns. Well, let me tell you, go stand in front of some Scientologists, okay, with their creepy, weird smiles, and try to tell them the truth. Let me tell you, any trigger that you thought that you were past, you're probably not, and it's going to come out. It's been amazing because then I could talk to my therapist about that and be like, maybe we need a little bit more work on this, or I guess I didn't really realize that this behavior was triggering me. I actually thought it was something else, but then like this happened. So she watches my live streams so that we can go through it and talk about it. And I could be like, look, I went from 0 to Mel Gibson in 3 seconds in this moment right here. Let's maybe not do that anymore because I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be perceived as that person. And, there's better ways for me to communicate that are funnier, smarter, just better, right? I could be better than just lashing out at people.
Right. And
That has been amazing.
but you still get to lash out, but you get to do a controlled lash.
Yeah.
You get to
Yeah,
choose when the
and
lash
I'm not
pushes the trigger. Right.
silencing,
Yeah. Because
and
there
no
was
one's
a couple.
telling me to shut up. It's a
Yeah.
choice I'm making to be better. It's not because somebody said you shouldn't say that. Or I'm ashamed of you, like my parents right now, mad at me that I'm doing this, not talking to me. All 4 of them right now, not talking to me because they don't understand and they don't want to take the time to understand. And do you know whose problem that is? Not mine. It's not
Not
mine.
yours.
It's not my problem.
Nope.
So, okay, cool. I mean, I guess we'll just fair roads, fair weather. Is that what the scientists say? Okay, cool. I guess that's what we're doing now. So for me, that's been I'm the only child for my mom and my dad. And I have stepbrothers from my mom's marriage to my stepdad. So, like, nothing I've ever done has been good enough for them. I couldn't
Right.
have kids, so they gravitate toward my
The
nephews and
grandkids.
nieces
Yeah.
that do have kids.
Yeah.
They go visit those people who have
Yeah.
procreated because, like, I wasn't, I was broken or whatever they think.
Right.
They don't understand what my PhD is in. They think it's funny to make jokes about it. Isn't that great? It's so
Oh my
great. I
God.
love that. I love that for
Right.
me. So whatever I do, it's like not good enough. They're not proud. And I'm like, well, that's not my problem. Oh my fuck, that's great. It took me 44 years until like this happened to be like, that's your problem. I gave you all the information to understand why I'm out here. I've explained it to you 1,600 times. I've sent you the links to the people that you can watch. And you choose. You choose to be like, but you might be doing this and it might embarrass us or it might do this. Nobody's embarrassed about my behavior except for y'all. Everybody else seems to be pretty grateful for what I'm doing here. And I'm going to keep doing it because I've listened to you guys for my whole life, parents, and you put me in shitty positions.
Yep.
And you made me make shitty decisions that I shouldn't have had to make. And then you shamed me for everything that I did,
Yep.
even though I've done more than all y'all have done. And now I'm going to do this because it feels right and I want to, and you're not going to tell me not to. So it's like kind of like this inception experience that I'm kind of having right now. Because when they're like, we don't know why you're doing this, I'm like, wow, so you've listened to not a word I've said. Awesome. Thank you.
Wow. Pearl, you just started a new journey. Congratulations.
100%.
Congratulations. No, this is actually really, really beautiful.
It
I
feels
love
amazing.
hearing it. It does. You just started a new journey. You pivot because so I've worked with a life coach for many years. And I didn't do well in school. I was bullied in school. I knew I liked guys when I was young, but I ended up sleeping with a girl when I was 11. She was 12. And we just throughout our junior high school and high school, we hung out and broke up, got together, broke up, got together. Boys came in, girls came in, just, just kid stuff, right? All that. And it was just kind of like, but I always got beat up by all the bullies, the jocks. Everybody always bullied me because I was in drama classes, I was in art classes and all that. Dyslexic. So it's just, reading wasn't my skill and all that. And so I was lucky because I was born with my mom. And this right here, this picture back here, I did this I actually cut it down to like a 14-minute short on my channel. And this is magic. And I painted her with a series of a bunch of photos back in the 80s. And it was interesting because for the longest time, I just called it magic. And because I'd look at all the different photos, I had this lady that wanted to take my paintings to London and make posters out of them. So she wanted so many of them. So I was creating a whole series. So I have a whole series of these that I did. And I'm able to go, oh, that's me and my friend Debbie. Oh, that's me and my friend Jerry. And this is my friend Chris. And so I'm able to point out everybody in the photos, but I never, ever thought about pointing out who this was in my life until about like 10 years ago. All of a sudden I'm like going, holy shit, that's my mom. She was magic in my life. And so here, my mom and I, we traveled this road together with my dad, which was cheating from probably day one, beating my mom up always. They were always in fights. That's all I can remember, fights after fights and physical fights. And then I got old enough where I was like, aha, I'm going to save you. And then I got into it and then I was getting slammed, chokehold and all that. And I've said this before on my channel where there was one time where my dad was like beating me up and my mom, and all of a sudden I called 911 and called the police. The police came, knocked on the door. I ran to the door, opened the door. My dad flashed his badge and they turned around. So I was lucky to have my mom in my life. And then she passed away when she was 60 from cancer, and that's all in this story of this poster is like, it's such a beautiful story. And I invite you to look at it because you would really, it talks about that magic. But like with your family, it's like, they were given that interpretation of all this shit. And it's like, I had that same kind of weird thing that you had about being the single kid. And then all of a sudden, but not like you did with the grandkids. And I can only imagine what that was like or is like. Okay. Where they, my family, my dad's side of the family was the big side. My mom's was a really tiny side. She came from a very abusive alcoholic family. Stepdad after stepdad, abuse after abuse type thing. So then she gets with my dad and she attracted my dad, which was abuse after abuse after abuse. We repeat our pattern. And so, God, I get lost sometimes. I just get lost and I get emotional. But so, I had her up to 60 and then she died on me. And then I was like, but it's such a beautiful story in there. God, I don't know where I was going with that whole story, but going back to you with your family, it's like, oh yeah, okay, now I know. I had that kind of same experience because my dad's side was a big family. And so it was like they were the German, Polish, bigs, the first family had 17, not, I'm joking, but it's like
Right.
13
No,
kids
I
or
get
something
it.
like that. It's like one of those families. And so they never had, they didn't have girls. And then one of the first girls died, in the big family. So then when my dad and mom had my sister, they were like, oh, our baby girl. And his side of the family just swarmed to her and then left me out of the picture, basically. And
Right.
so I was like going, hello, I'm here, and then my nephew, my cousin came along and it was a little blue-eyed boy. And by that time they were tired of Debbie. So they just switched to her. And then I was just like, I didn't have another, all I had was my mom, and that abuse.
And
But
and we
so go on.
go ahead.
No, so so now I work with a life coach, and I'll share this with you. Okay. Is that we have a physical body,
Mhm,
and then we have either a spiritual or just our soul out here, whatever that is
mhm.
for us, right? And those two need to be in alignment. Okay. And when those are in alignment, your body's your life does this. Okay. And when I'm telling you this story too, I also think the kids in Scientology never had an opportunity to do this when they were little. They never
Right.
had a chance to be in their alignment, find out who they were, what they were
Right.
like. What do I want to do in life? What do I want to be in life? That was stolen from them along with so many other things. Their
Right.
dreams were
Because 'cause you're just
stolen.
here to clear the planet and be a, like, creepy plaything for creepy older people.
Yeah, their dreams were stolen.
Every
Yeah.
single one of them, yeah?
Yeah, it's horrible. So I was lucky I grew up in that kind of family where I had that, but it's just like, I go back to the kids. It's just like, we're here for the kids, and what you've gone through now is like what I was saying is like you're on a new journey now. Once you're in alignment, the only person that can pull you out of alignment is yourself.
That's right.
A lot of times we'll say, our parents would scream at us or they'll do this or they'll do that. And all of a sudden we'll go over there and go, and, try to fight back with it. But it's our fault. It's our choice to go there.
Correct.
Okay. Find your alignment.
Yeah.
And by finding your alignment, you find something that you enjoy to do and you find happiness, you find joy in it, you find love in it, and you find therapy in it, you find self-expression in it. You get to be yourself, you get to be authentic, right? And
Unapologetically.
exactly. And then you want to be at like a high vibration because the people that are out of alignment are really playing in low vibrations. So you really don't want to go to those places where it's a low vibration, right? So you want to stay in
No.
alignment
I've
at a high vibration.
I've lived there. It was terrible. It did
You
nothing
grew
for
up
me.
there. You grew up there. You grew up there.
Yeah.
And so now
In a
what you're
lot of
doing right
ways.
now, yeah, now what you're doing, you just did a big pivot. We call it a pivot. I always say, write what's not working in your life and then write what you want instead. Okay. Quit looking what's not working in your life. And that means quit going to it and go
Right.
to what you want instead, you
So
know?
true.
And so what you're doing right now is you're being so authentic in being who you are, true to yourself, and giving and loving back so much. And that's why I've been reaching out to you because I just adore you and I salute you for you being on this new journey. You've pivoted into a new direction.
I appreciate you. Now you're gonna make me choke up.
No, it's true. I don't think you've heard a lot of that in your life. And it's like, you deserve to hear this.
I appreciate
What
it. And I finally
what you're,
believe it now.
yeah. I mean, your voice is so beautiful, so strong. So, I mean, your comic sense of you crack me up, but it is, that's one thing is like all my gay friends, they all got that comic thing and I didn't get it. I'm artist. I'm like this crazy genius artist. I did this one piece and I took it and they built it. It's on my Instagram and it's like it's 10 feet tall. And I took it in to get it made and they're like, how did you do this? They go, what engineering school did you go to? I said, I didn't. They go, you had to,
Right.
you know? But it was because I was
Like,
so in
no.
my life inside. You okay there, baby?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good, good, good. Yeah, I was so into my head growing up, just staying safe in my own little world because that's where I played until my mom was around. I was always just doing my little things and I was always creating and building and all that. And so I've been really blessed to be able to play in a playground up here. And when you find yourself in alignment and stop going to what's taking you, allowing yourself to take you out to that out of alignment stage, and you stay in your alignment, then you start to play at a high vibration. You're eager, you're joy, you want more, and you're having a great time. Those people that were out of alignment have one of two things to do with you. Okay. They can either come up to your alignment and play with you up here, or they'll fall off. And if they
Right.
fall off, and when they do fall off, you get to play with people up here because that's the next person you're going to meet. And that's where
And I
you
think
are
I
right now.
have. I
Yep.
have. The
Yep.
people that I've met that came out to join me are amazing. And like a lot of the people I knew around here moved away, and so I didn't really even have a lot of people. So it's like it's brought these amazing people like it locally into my life. It's also introduced me to people like you and Liz and Serge. And it's just like the more I get to meet and chat with each of you, it's just like this is where I'm supposed to be. This is the first time that it's like my reckless and hilarious mouth, my quick wit are like there's a point, and this is who I am. And every time I try to like stuff it down, disaster. I'm not happy. I end up like stuffing it down until I like blow up at something else inappropriate. But it's like, no, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to use my voice to bring attention to whatever it is that I want to bring attention to. And I could do it passionately, and I can be funny, and I can be authentic about it. And I'm going to do the work to understand why I'm standing there to be able, because that's how my brain works. I suck everything in and I can see things at multiple
You
different
process
levels.
it.
I can see
Yep.
systems.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
I get it. I can put it all together and I can, you know, I could steal Scientology's stupid language and turn it into something hilarious and use it against them because that's how my brain works. And it's finally appropriate. And it's awesome.
It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. What if you can remember, because my memory is like I'm like, if you can remember, what is your favorite moment so far?
There have been so many. But I think honestly sitting at the table after like all these like weeks, like sitting at the table with everybody who showed up, like all these different people from different walks of life. Most of us never ends. Um, I mean, Punk was in, so I think she's like the main exception. I don't know if there's any others. But just like all these people that came together for this, and we're just like sitting around, like we just had the biggest success. When's the last time somebody got to yell at David Miscavige in public where we know he heard him and it ruined their party? That was historical. And so we all got to enjoy that moment and then take it and like sit there with it and like laugh and joke and retell the stories and play some really sloppy pool and just like have a great time. That 10 out of 10, that moment right there.
And that moment right there, you couldn't have begged for in your childhood. You
Mm-mm.
know, that moment right there is the beauty where you are today. Because really, like you said, it's
Good.
history. What you did and the other people that were there, but your voice, I've been following your voice mostly there. And
Mhm.
what you did, you made history, you know? And the thing that drives me nuts is like here they can't find him and he shows up at an event and they're trying to serve him. It's like why weren't they serving him at the event? You know, for I just
Right.
broke off to the cop thing, you know what I mean? But and I do that. My little ADHD, you know, ahead of mine.
Oh,
I'm like,
same.
but yeah, no, you made history this, you know, today inside this world of Scientology and just bringing that out to the public. It's like, and the fact that he, you know, showed up, it was just like, you know, someone made I think, I don't know if it was Aaron, I think it was Aaron, they call him, but Aaron, right? Said that, or maybe you said it. Did you say it, or did Aaron say it about the FedEx? You said it about the FedEx boxes coming, 2 FedEx boxes. Did you say that? Yes, I love that. Say what I'm saying.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, they're bringing in some FedEx boxes. Oh, they're just a little bit bigger than a shoe box. I bet that's Davey. Oh, there's 2. It might be Tom Cruise as well. Might be the 2 of them. But I do think that might be how they snuck them in. Prove me wrong. Show me the proof where I'm wrong.
You could be absolutely right. I definitely think that's possible. I mean, it's funny because like when, the kids and the new, like Jessica and, that whole team, that they're out there almost every single night.
Right.
For me, it's like, I'm like, oh my God, I had to tear my hip, the joint of my hip. So they had to do a hip replacement on me. And so that was like 5 months ago. So me being out there as much as I am, I'm just like, okay, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. This is kicking my ass, but there's just, even like, I always say for me, it's like, I'm designing big events and there's that build up to the event. It's like this, and then the vent's over and it goes,
Right.
and
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding the same thing here. It's like every time we go out, it's like that thing like this, and it goes like this, and then it goes down like this, and then it's like then I deal with all the triggers and I try to understand what was triggering me all night and why that cop triggered me and that one didn't trigger me, or what do and I was like, because like I think there's some good guys in there, but they do get influenced very quickly, I think. I talked to someone at a party recently, and him and his wife both worked inside the LAPD, and they both left because it was so corrupt, they said. He said, we just couldn't do
KK
it.
lived there. She lived there and protested there and had to leave because of the corruption there. Like, there's only so many times that she really wanted to, like, take the rubber bullets and has scars and whatnot from them. And so she left and chose Texas. So, like, what do you do in California? Because y'all are supposed to be doing better than we
Lovey-dovey.
are.
Right.
Like, we still have sundown towns, y'all. Like, how are our cops doing better right now? And I have to say, I was shocked. I still am a little bit shocked at how awesome they were. But I think what helped, obviously, besides the fact that, like, Sciento hasn't gotten to them and given them a whole bunch of money
Right.
yet, or they've rejected it. Either way, I've looked
Either
through the
way.
records and there hasn't been a check deposited. So I don't know why, but okay. But the guy that came out the first day that I was in, that they called the cops on us at the temporary org, and experienced Scientology lying to him about us. Or just lying, actually, because he was like, I want them trespass. And they were like, well, they're going to trespass you. I was like, well, they don't own the building, so they can't. And he was like, oh, really? And we were like, yeah. Trish was like, no, I have his name here. This is the actual owner. So that guy had already seen what Sciento had done. So I was like, okay. So when he showed up, he was just like, they said you were like putting all these speakers up. And so I just like point at the ground where there are 0 speakers. There's like 2 megaphones that are far away from us that we're not using because also I don't need it.
Yeah.
And it echoed. So none of us needed it, really. But it's like he just laughed. He just stood there. And so I think that, first of all, I think that was helpful for Danny. I mean, we got a picture of Danny like standing next to one of the cops with his arm around him. So it's like, what a difference something like that can make. Because the people that trigger me there are the men who tell me to shut the F up. And then I don't, and then they get pissed. And I'm like, oh, this is what I'm here for. Because I have listened especially when men, my bosses,
Yeah.
people who've stole my academic work, all these people have told me to shut up and sit down. I have. And guess what? I'm not doing it anymore. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there's a book on my shelf right now that has a chapter in it that I wrote. I still have the original Word document. Do you think my name is on that chapter in that book? Because it's not. It's 2 men's names on that book.
That's I know that feeling. I had, being a designer, I design a lot of stuff from scratch, and so I was working on this house. It was a guest house. It was 13,000 square feet. Okay, a guest house.
Or a
And
guest house. I'm like in my house, which is 850 square feet. Okay.
like us almost, right? Exactly. And so it was actually Cher's old house in Beverly Hills, and it was 26 acres. And Eddie Murphy
Whoa.
lived there before her. So it was a staple in Beverly Hills. It was one of the Walmart people that bought it.
Mm.
But anyway, so it was 13,000 square feet house. So I was designing it, right? So we were in the powder room, and she wanted it really Moroccan and just really just reds and all this, really beautiful. And she had a great style for design. She was like one of my best friends. And so I was like, okay. And then she didn't want the regular size powder room. She wanted a really wide powder room. So we had to, and it was like an odd shape because of the living room could only be this far because they had to keep the old foundation, blah, blah, blah. So I had to design a piece just for it. And all of a sudden I did the first prototype of the leg out of steel. I designed the whole thing and gave it to my steel guys. They built it, just the leg of the first part, to show them what it would look like. And I went up to the house, and I was like, my middle guy called me up, Michael, I got your leg. And I went and got it, and I looked at it, and I was like, oh my God, it's so cute. It's so beautiful. And I was holding it in my hand like a baby, I was like so excited. And I lived down the street from her, and all of a sudden I was like, I'm going to go up and show it to her. I know they're having lunch today because I'd set up the lunch with flowers and all that earlier that day. And so I went up there, and the gates open up, the guards let me in and all that. That's kind of that property. And so they're having lunch outside, and I'm like, I say her name, and I'm like, look what I have. I have the leg to the powder room, right? And she snatches it out of my hand, and she says to her friends, she goes, oh, look what my husband and I designed for our bathroom. And I was like, huh? And it crushed me. It was like someone stole my
Yeah.
baby, Then that's what
It's
that happened to
awful.
you. Yeah.
It's awful. And there's nothing I could say because I would have flushed. I was still doing my postdoc. I wasn't even like in my first. I was like, you can't say anything at that point. It would have ruined my entire career in the field, especially
Yep.
because my field is very male dominated.
Yep.
So
Yep.
there's nothing I could do. I just had to sit there and take it. I just again sit there and take it.
Yep.
Sit there,
Yep.
take it. Take your medicine. Take it. Just sit there, take it. Shut up. Keep a nice face on while you do it. No
Yep.
back talk. No sass. Nothing. And I'm just like, one of those people got a faculty position because of that. That should have been my faculty position. I didn't even get an interview for it because they were like, well, did you see what this person did? Okay, that person did nothing. They weren't even there that year. That was like a year that they took off. And then they took it. It's mine. But I couldn't say it.
And see,
I can't, and I
that
still
just,
won't say who they are. I still will never name those two people. That's how fucked it is.
it's well, and that's where I always say, I have another analogy where I call it the white chair. Okay, so picture a white chair. Let's say this is a white chair, right? And then this shit happened to us, and then this shit happened to us, and then this shit happened to us, right? So you got all this
Right.
shit when it piled up in this white chair from our past, right? And so then we're walking along, and we meet somebody, and the first thing we do is we go to say hi to him, and here's the person, and we're like, hi, hi, hi. We got this white chair full of shit in front of us. So sometimes we have to learn to put down that white chair. Okay, it will always be there for you to go back to and have and all that, but it's been, it took me a while to get that, to let that go, because like that information, like especially with my dad, that abuse with my dad is like, there was a point where I finally, like, he never made amends, of course, to this day, and he's still the same person. You listen
Right.
to what comes out of his mouth, it's still the exact same thing, and I listen to him, I'm like, Dad, this is you're living a different time right now. You need to be more acceptance to, accepting everybody around you, and quit, with this judgment that you have about people. And he just doesn't
Yeah.
get it. And he's never going to change. And those people are never going to change. So that's where I've learned to put my boundaries, because if I don't put my boundaries, I'm the one that gets it. I allow myself to go out of alignment.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I think so. I have a similar way of looking at it. It's a little different. So my analogy
I'd
is
love to hear it.
just
Yeah.
because just because somebody gives you a brick, it does not mean you have to put it in your backpack and carry it around.
Yep.
You just put that brick down.
Yep.
You don't need to carry it around with you. Just put that brick down. Don't even accept the
Yeah.
brick. Just put it down. Or just like take it and be like, thank you, and then put it down. Stop.
Yep.
And that to me is like that's what I have. That's
That's
the
great.
the mental image that I use because I'm like, nope, see, you're carrying around too many people's bricks that aren't yours.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
everything
you
that you
stop and you're
carry
like, how many
around,
bricks am I got? Yeah. Uh-huh.
right? Too many. Because I only carry around water and cannabis, okay, and my dogs. Also, I want to ask you about what your pet
Line does.
business is.
You're gonna love this. You want to hear the story about it?
Yes, please.
So, because I told you I'd let you go early, but I know that we're just having a good time here, so we're just doing whatever, right?
Right.
So I started volunteering for pet rescues, helping them set up their events because they did not know how to do their events. And so I started helping them with their events and just building their events. And so then I'd go to the events and I'd always hear the pet parents saying, oh my God, I take my dog to the vet. They give him steroids, they give him shots, they give him Western medicine. And I'm very vegan and I would like to do something different. And there's nothing out there. There's nothing out there. There's nothing out there. So probably like from that first event I did, and I heard that I did several of them. Then all of a sudden I was, Bravo called me and I was on the Housewives with Lisa designing her event for her foundation, where it's a beautiful foundation that she goes over to China and she saves the dogs from the Yulin Festival where they eat them during a certain time of the year. Okay. Horrible, just horrible. So, and I kept hearing the same thing again from people again over all throughout the years. There got to be something better. And so that like you see the problem, you start to do this, and you find the solution, right?
Right.
Okay. So I saw the problem, and I'm like, okay, there's got to be a solution. So then that's when the era of like the CBD came in, like 4 or 5 years ago. 5 years ago, all the CBDs came in, and I started looking at them, and they were all kind of very too similar for what I was looking for. They were kind of like, oh, this fixes all type of thing, and it's like, no, I wanted something that was more specific to each kind of issue a pet may have.
Right.
So Lisa would have this dog day event in West Hollywood. And so we went to it, Serge and I, and we'd been at many different dog events, looking at different products and all that. And we were there, and all of a sudden we meet Dr. Kyle. And Dr. Kyle was sitting there with 3 little brown boxes on his desk, on this little, desk where he's got his tin above him. And I'm like, what's this? And he goes, oh, it's Eastern medicine for pets. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, it's Eastern medicine for pets. And I'm like, and he had one that said calming, he had one that said pain, and he had one that says allergy. And I'm like, well, how did you come up with this? And he said, well, I studied and I went to school. I'm an acupuncturist and a Chinese herbologist. And so I treat my clients holistically through acupuncture and herbs and Chinese herbs. And so I'm like, he goes, I go, well, what made you think of pets? And he goes, well, I went to go visit my brother's dog, and she was just scratching. She had all these, she just kept scratching. And I asked my brother, I'm like, what's going on with Zoe? And he goes, well, she's got allergies and she's had them for the last couple of years. She's got bald spots, which are called hot spots on the dog. And all the medication, the allergy medication, the pills, the shots, they're not working any longer. They haven't for a long time. He goes, well, let me make something for you up that I make for one of my clients for their allergies. So he went back to his place, his little lab, made something, sent it to his brother. And a week later, his brother calls and says, oh my God, Kyle. And Kyle goes, what? He goes, Zoe's not scratching.
Amazing.
And Kyle goes, really? He goes, oh, good. I'm glad it works. Just kind of, doctor type of personality. And so then he goes back to his office. He's at his office and he's talking to his clients about it. He goes, oh my God, I made this for my brother and it stopped the allergy and all that. And then one of the clients go, well, my dog's really, really nervous. Can you make me something for her to calm her down? Made a calming one, handed it to her. Next time he saw her, she's like, I can't believe it. She is calmer than she's ever been, but she's herself. It doesn't take away her motor skills. And so he's
That's
like,
what I hate
wow.
about having to do that for mine.
Yep. And so then, another client asked about pain, and he did one for pain, and it worked. And so there he was in the park with his three little brown boxes, typical doctor, missing a digit from his telephone number. Not really, but it was cute because I went to call him and I'm like,
yep.
you need one more digit here, And so, so he looked at me, he handed me a box of it, and he goes, I know who you are. Go take it to all your rescues that you work with and see how it works. And so I dropped it off to all my rescues, and all of a sudden I was getting phone call after phone call after phone call. And they're like, oh my God, what is this stuff? What is this stuff? We can't believe this stuff. And it's like, and they're dealing with difficult dogs that are just being rescued off the street, So I was like, oh shit, I think I found it. That's what I said. I'm like, oh my God, I think we found it, Serge.
Yes.
And so Serge and I went back to him and I said, hey, what do you think about, I can either buy it from you and then rebrand it, and I'll make you a lot of money, eventually, but it's not about the money. It's about the pets. That's what it's for me. Okay. It's all about the pets. And so he's like, no, I know who you are. And he goes, you'd be a really good partner. Why don't you be my partner?
Awesome.
And so we took it from here. I'm going to go run and go grab some, and I'll show you some real quick. What's going on with your dog?
So I have a rescue. He is very anxious. Still. He's very, very sweet and very protective of me, but like so anxious. And Ziggy has allergies, so the other one has really bad allergies, especially like his ears.
Okay, so I'm going to go run for a second, and you're going to share a story with the crowd about the second favorite moment you had this weekend with David Miscavige.
Okay. It's my second favorite moment this week. I think it was probably how all the chat showed up and helped call all the people, call the city, call the police department. It was chat having my back. My answer is chat having my back. My chat having my back, helping me call all the police and all the people that were in charge, everything. I mean, like, I was getting emails like, "Hey, I got a hold of this person. This is who you need to talk to. I got a call back." And I was like, "This is amazing." So, chat stepped up, 10 out of 10.
Isn't that beautiful?
It's awesome. I love it. I love it.
I mean, I say that all the time. I mean, I have such a great, and it's, what's really interesting for me on my mine, you have your analytics and you look at your analytics, who's following you and all that, is mine is 82% men.
Really?
Yeah. I find that, I mean, the only thing I think it's probably the women using the husband's or boyfriend's channel or phones.
That's
I find
interesting.
it,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, who
because like
knows
most
though?
everybody.
Honestly, who knows?
No, I love it. I love it. But anyways, okay, let's get back to you and your dogs. So I'll finish the story real quick. So I went back to Kyle and he's like, here, we did it. So we became partners, and I said, oh, I'm going to rebrand it. And what we did is we didn't just become a product on the shelf. We created a niche inside the pet wellness market. So the investors that have been chasing us, they say that we're like a Uber to the pet wellness industry. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice.
And the reason why, because it works.
Right.
So this one right here, this one is called
No
More
more
Drama.
drama. I love it.
Okay. And this is one will get you for your anxiety, kiddo. Okay.
Okay.
And this one here is called
Itchy scratchy. Yep.
Okay. Now, the one thing I want you to do before I send this to you, okay, and you'll text me your address and all this, and I'll get this to you, okay? And I will sponsor you for your dog's life.
Get out of here.
No, I will.
Oh. Did you guys hear that? They're sleeping.
They're
They
sleeping.
heard
So
it.
what I want you to do, the one with allergies, okay? and this is for everybody out there too, do this with your dog too, is sniff between the toes, okay, and sniff inside the ears. And if it smells like corn chip, it's likely they have yeast as
Oh,
well.
it is. It's his ear. He gets yeast infections in his ear.
Okay, so I'm going to send you yucky fungus.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't grab that one, but I'll get you yucky fungus too, because yucky fungus you have to give it to for at least 1 month minimum.
Okay.
Okay, how big is he?
They're both about 40 pounds, 40, 45 pounds.
Okay, so I'll probably send you several of each, okay? That you need. I'll set you up properly, okay? But the
Okay.
instructions are that you have to do yucky fungus minimum for 1 month because yeast hides. A lot of times people will like try it and then they'll be halfway through the month and they're like, oh, it's gone. No, it's like a toe fungus almost for them. You know, it hides
Right.
out and it's hard to get rid of. Okay. Yeast, and so this will decrease that smell in their ears and their feet and all that. So that's called yucky fungus. So we have 9 formulas. We've got no more drama. We've got itchy scratchy. We've got ouchie for pain. We've got we got poo-poo problems for diarrhea. Can't poo-poo for constipation. Yucky fungus for fungal, right? Yeast. And then we have eat for digestion. So we cover the 9 main issues. And we also have PP issues for kidney stones. And that's a big one for cats.
Right.
Okay. Even dogs that get kidney stones, because if there's tiny, they can't go in and blast them away because it will blast their bladder or kidneys away. So this helps dissolve them. And these are just ancient Chinese recipes that are thousands of years old that were
Love it.
recalculated for pets, but they're human grade.
That's awesome.
It's so
Oh,
cute.
I'm so excited.
I had this one lady call me up one day and she's like, Michael, she goes, my dog is in this, my dog is just, I've got grandkids and I've got great grandkids. And she goes, and they just drive my little one nuts when they come over. They're pulling on his tail, pulling on his ear, and he's just a stress ball. And she goes, what do you have? And I said, no more drama. So I sent her no more drama. And all of a sudden she calls me back a couple of weeks later and she's like, oh my God, Michael. She goes, I can't believe this stuff. It makes him so calm. And they're all friends now. She goes, what do you have for me? I go, what's going on with you? She goes, well, because I'm 80 something years old, I get sick every time they come around because they're coming from all different states. I get their little colds. I said, oh, you need Forever Young. She ordered for Forever Young and called me back a few weeks later and said, oh my God, Michael, I'm not getting sick.
Oh, it's awesome. Mine are very anxious when people come over and they've been trained. It doesn't even, sometimes like I can't even keep them well trained because they're just like so much energy and they're also not used to people coming over. But like once you get in, like they're the best and they just want to love all over you. But like every time you come over, it's like Groundhog Day. Like they've never seen you before.
How old are they?
So Kenny is 9 and Ziggy is 2.
Okay, great. So Ziggy may be a little kind of aftermath pandemic or
Yeah,
mid-pandemic.
that's his. And he feeds, but he also stops the fastest. Like he's just barking because Kenny's barking. His issue
Is
is
he the anxious one or the allergy one?
allergy.
Okay.
So Ziggy's the allergy one. Like he just like barks because Kenny's barking. But like he knows what's going on. He knows when to be like, this is a problem. This person's coming from my mom, versus just like, oh well, the other one's barking. I'm gonna bark too. And Kenny's just like afraid of everything all the time. That is not me or my ex-boyfriend, who's like currently their dog walker too. So like, if it's not me or Brian, Kenny's just like, ah, and he like shakes and he freaks out. It's a whole thing. He expresses his anal glands, which smells so great. At least I don't have to pay for that to be done, I guess. But that's like his.
Well, one of ours helps with the anal glands, and I'll send you that one as well. Okay.
Well, he doesn't need it. He just clears those out on his own when he gets anxious.
Oh my God, that's crazy. That's so funny. It's funny. Back during the pandemic, there was a platform called Clubhouse. Did you hear about it?
Mm-hmm.
So Serge told me about it, and he's like, "Oh, you should get on it. You should get on it and talk about, just your life and your art and all that, and design and weddings and all that." And I'm like, because we were like, "What do we do?" So I got on it,
Right.
and so we looked over. Well, I looked over inside the rooms and all that, and I'm like, I thought I was going to go in and talk about my design and show different design or talk about different design projects and do my website or whatever. And so then I'm like, no, that's not really going to give me that much happiness. I've kind of lived that life, I've been doing it my whole life, but I'll share it once in a while here and there. And so then I looked over at the pets section, and there was like, everybody was all over the place. No one was like together. They were like all over here. And I'm like, and I'm like, I'm going to make a channel there. And I ended up doing 3 rooms a day, like 3 1-hour rooms a day for a year. And it was like the most beautiful thing, because having this product in during the pandemic, we just launched it just before the pandemic. So you could see where our business was like, we were like, what the fuck,
Yeah.
No, we can't go
Like,
out.
oh
We
my
can't
gosh,
knock on
this
doors.
is it.
Right. All the trade shows shut down and all that. And we're like, okay, what do we do? But we did it. It's succeeding and it's growing fastly. It's beautiful.
Love
It's
that.
beautiful. It's opened so many pets all over. I always digress to different stories, but I had one pet store call me the other day, and he goes, "Michael, I have to tell you something." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "I, in my 20 years of owning pet stores, have never brought in a product that not only brings joy to my clients because it works and it's helping their fur babies, but it brings joy to my staff because my clients are coming in and bragging how well their dogs are doing and cats are doing."
That's so great.
It's
That's I
so
wanna tell that
beautiful.
story. I would like to tell that story because my
It's
dogs
so
are my besties.
yeah, they're the best. They're the best. And that's something, and for me, it's like I never thought I'd be in this business. I'm like going, and all of a sudden here I am, like, so with the podcast on Clubhouse, or with all those people, I started just reaching out to people all around the world, because it was all around. You could anytime, and I work late at night because I design on my computer late at night. And so I would get these guests on that were just superpowers inside the pet industry that people didn't know about, and then the people that did know about, they're like, how the fuck did you get them? And I'm like,
Right.
and I'm like, it's just, people are people. I worked around celebrities my whole life, growing up. There's no one special to me. We're all equals. We're all here to, contribute to life some way, some way. Mine's to make magic. That's what it is magic, and I love it. But I learned so much from doing all that about the pets, and I have a podcast for that too. It's called It's called The Pet's Journey. And so
Okay,
it's
yeah.
like, yeah, and so it's like, but it's like I learned so much, and then circling back to where you are today, look at what you're learning,
So much
about something like, and
about
then
so
like what
many
I was,
things.
yeah, and like what I didn't, like what I was saying earlier, it's like, until I met Serge, I was walking around like most people are walking around today, and not even understanding what's going on. And we're so grateful and so thankful for all our subs, all the people that are in the chat, because they're bringing awareness there, because they're going, they're going out going, holy shit, I heard this YouTube the other day. And that building around the corner, do you know what they're doing?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And telling the kids and warning them, because there were people that have been through there before, thought that those, like, creeps that were trying to get their information were gone. Nope, they're back, surprise. But also, you just call me and I'll come make them go inside in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I want somebody to break my record, though. I want somebody to break my record.
Yep, yep. So we've been on for a while. I know you've been on lives all day long. I wanted to get to know you. I've gotten to know you, and I know we're going to be spending a lot more time together and sharing stories.
Yeah, I absolutely
Congrat-
adore you. This has been delightful. I appreciate you having me on. This has been great.
Thank you. And I appreciate your just your tenacity and your brilliance and your joy that you're spreading with everybody through this dark situation. It's so beautiful. So in
Thank
closing,
you.
is there anything that you would wish someone would ask you on an interview that they haven't asked you that you would like to share?
Outside of being like, would you like a job? No. I honestly, I really think that everybody kind of gets it. And so I've been able to, I've had the opportunity to talk about all the stuff that I want to. I think I do want to talk a little bit more about like the cybersecurity parts of things and like how to protect yourself, just in general, but very specifically with respect to this cult. So I think that's one thing that now that the 24th is over and I have a little bit more leeway with like when I'm gonna go and be at the org and once I figure out what their new patterns are. But I do want to talk about that. I do want to help people understand because I'm good at translating technical stuff to human. And I do have a sponsorship with Aura. I have an affiliate situation with
Oh,
them, so
beautiful.
I'm gonna set that up. So and then I could talk
And
about
who's
Aura,
Aura?
which is like so Aura is a complete solution for virus protection, malware, a VPN, identity protection. It'll get all of your information off of the internet that's already on a site. It'll generate like pseudo emails for you that get forwarded to where you want them to go. But like if you sign up for something, it'll mask your email, and but it'll also have a name that makes sense. You're like, oh, this is where I tried for the sweepstakes, or this is for a job that I applied to. It also credit monitors, and it has a password manager. So once I get that
Oh,
set up,
that's
which will
great.
be tomorrow, I will be able to send that link out, and I think it will come with a trial. And I have it for my whole family. Even though they're being jerks right now, I still love them and want them to be safe, I guess.
Right. Of course.
But it's helpful because if something happens to my parents with either a power of attorney or hopefully not for a long time, like a death certificate, I'm immediately granted access to all of their passwords to every account that they have.
Beautiful. Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So
So let me know about that. Put it in our chat. Or, yeah, definitely send it to me, and I'll.
I will.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Serge and I just, for you talked about security, and Serge and I just actually, I got us body cams. So now
I did too.
they
I just
snap.
got one.
Yeah, they snap right
Yep.
here, and they just go on, and they just. I didn't realize. I thought they only filmed 45 minutes. I had one the other day that was 2 hours and 45 minutes. So they film actually quite long, and it's nice to have. You know.
So somebody sent me because I hadn't done all the research yet. So like I love how supportive people are. Like I hadn't put it on Amazon yet. Somebody's like, I'm just gonna send you a gift certificate. So like when you figure out like you go get this body cam. So I did. I bought the body cam and it's charged now. And so when I go out, I'll have it now, which gives me I just feel better about it, right? For all the things that we've
Yeah.
seen. Even though it's different here, there's also other things that we have that maybe LA doesn't have, right? So there's always something to be around. But when it comes to Sciento, you need to protect yourself and you
Every
need to
way.
protect your data and you need to have insurance on things. So I'm gonna start talking about that because like if somebody hacks into my bank account, I get a check for $1 million because that's the kind of protection that I have. Because I've
I
been
love that.
doxxed on the internet before. You're not getting me again.
Yep. Yep. No, I had an Instagram account that got, and it was like, it took me months and months and months. And it was stupid that they were like, oh, it's really not you. And I'm like, yes, it is me. Look at me. I'll show you the
Right.
wart on my, toe. What's nice about this is that it gives you a sense of security,
Hmm.
and I think every kid should have one now. That's what I would like to see is like, there's other things too that we do. We have cameras everywhere, but what we do with ours too is we will leave them in our car going at night. We have two
Hmm.
Surges in mine, and it films people coming towards the car, people from the backside of the car. So we now monitor our cars with them too.
Perfect. Yeah, I put dash cams in mine.
Yep. Yep. So yeah. So well, it's been a complete pleasure spending
Same,
time with you, Miss
same.
Pearl Aries.
You're delightful, and this has been lovely. I'm so glad that you invited me on here.
Yeah, I've been wanting to meet with you and just get to know you, and I just felt your energy, and I just adore you, and I love your new adventure you're on, and I understand it. I'm kind of like there too. I'm always on an adventure, and I'm always enjoying life, and I see that you're doing the same, and it's just like congratulations on your, just, it's like when you can be authentic, like you're being authentic, and just have the integrity doing what you're doing, it's just like, how can you not feel good?
Right.
You know, because we're here for a mission, and it's like, you know, for me, it's for the kids. It's just to get the kids out. You adults, like you said, go have fun, go play your perverted games you want to play, whatever you want to do, doesn't matter any
Right.
longer. It doesn't, you know. Hey, if you need help out, you need somebody, you know, talk to me. I maybe be able to help you. I would like to help you, you know, whatever. You maybe you're really lost, you know, you don't know. It's like, I'm sober 18 years, so it's like, you know, I work with a lot of people that, you know, have struggles sometimes. And it's like, so you don't know what struggles some people go through, but still there's no reason to treat kids the way they do. So
100%.
Pearl, thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
I will get these into the mail for you, and I'll get some instructions for you. If you have any questions, give me a call. And it's been such a pleasure spending tonight with you. This was not on my agenda, and I'm just happy that I just threw the message out to see if you were around.
Me too. Me too. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and I can't wait to chat some more.
Okay, doll. You have a beautiful night. Okay.
Thank you
And
so
we
much.
will
You
be,
too.
and everybody be sure, if you're not following Pearl, follow Pearl. Okay. At PearlSnappy on YouTube. She's, you know, just a dream for us, and she's holding down the fort. She's kicking ass in Scientology. And yes, everybody, I know I got an extra S in Scientology, or C in Scientology. It's called I Didn't Have My Glasses. But this is life, and we're just here for life, and just, you know, making a mission just to help the kids. And so we've got another wonderful person that just is sharing her heart and her love for us. So everybody give it out for Pearl, and we guys will see you soon. Okay. Love you guys. Have a good night. I'm Michael, and I'm out.
Bye.
Bye, honey.